The new transfer student, Jake, catches the attention of Baja, the school's most popular girl.
Nicely done. Thanks for the save.
I owe you one.
They hit it off right away, and she invites him to a party after school.
There's this party tonight, if you want to go.
You gonna be there?
But what Jake doesn't know is that this party is actually a trap set up by Baja's boyfriend Ryan, the school's notorious bully. At the party, Ryan suddenly challenges Jake to a fight.
You ready? Ready for what?
And the crowd erupts into excited chants.
The main event. That would be me and you.
Jake's completely caught off guard. He doesn't want to fight.
Get the hell out of here, man. I'm not fighting.
When he turns to leave, the crowd lets out disappointed boos. Ryan, desperate to get his fight with Jake, deliberately brings up Jake's father's death.
Not even that part about your dad? Wrapping his drunk ass around that tree.
This hits Jake's nerve, and he finally agrees to take the challenge. Ryan, it turns out, is no ordinary schoolyard bully. He's a professional boxer and MMA champion. Jake doesn't stand a chance and ends up getting brutally beaten. What Jake doesn't realize is that all this hatred stems from a viral fight video from months ago. It happened during a high school football game where Jake was absolutely crushing it. Everyone was impressed by his performance. He seemed unstoppable, about to clinch the championship. But then one of his opponents started playing mind games, taunting Jake about not being able to take care of his father, which led to his father's death.
It was too bad about your old man. The sauce? That shit'll kill ya.
Something in those words hit a nerve, and Jake just snapped. He unleashed a brutal beating on the guy. By the end of the game, both teams had erupted into an all-out brawl. Someone caught it all on video, and it went viral. Just like that, Jake became known as the guy who fights. But Jake never wanted to be a fighter. His father's death left this wound that never healed. One fateful day, Jake and his dad were heading out. Even though his father was drunk, he insisted on driving. Jake offered to take the wheel, but his dad refused. They ended up crashing into a tree, and his father didn't make it. To this day, Jake blames himself. He's convinced that if he'd been behind the wheel, his dad would still be alive. His father's drunk driving death became fodder for school bullies, and Jake desperately wants to escape this life. When his younger brother Charlie lands a scholarship at a school in Orlando, they decide to move from Iowa to Florida. Charlie's a rising tennis star, and their mom fully supports his career. But she's disappointed in Jake, who often gets involved in fighting, feeling that as the only adult man in the house, he's not setting a good example for his brother.
Thought it sounded cooler if I got in a fight.
Still think you don't need to set an example, Jake?
It's Jake's first day at the new school. Behind the building, he spots a student named Max getting beaten up by a group of guys. Jake tries to ignore it, but guilt gnaws at him. When he finally steps in to help, something unexpected happens. Max and his friends actually scold him.
I think he's got this.
Damn right!
Plot twist. This bullying was actually a sanctioned MMA practice session. This little misunderstanding gets Max and his crew curious about Jake. Soon enough, that football fight video starts making the rounds, and Jake becomes the talk of the school. Everyone's impressed, but Jake tries to keep a low profile. His mom's made it clear she doesn't want him getting mixed up in any more fights. Meanwhile, Jake catches the attention of a girl in his class named Baja. During a lesson, the teacher asks her a question she can't answer. Jake steps up and nails it. After class, Baja catches up with him, asking if he's new. They hit it off, and Jake finds himself drawn to her vibrant, charming personality. But Jake's rising popularity and his connection with Baja don't sit well with her boyfriend Ryan, the school's resident tough guy. Ryan's not just any fighter, he's a skilled fighter and MMA champion who's always seen himself as the best. When Jake's fight video goes viral, suddenly everyone's talking about Jake instead of him. That's why Ryan wants this showdown. He needs to prove he's the only champion at school, the one who can beat anybody. So Ryan hatches a plan, using Baja to lure Jake to a party at his place. When everyone forms a circle, Ryan blindsides Jake with a challenge. Jake wants no part of it, even when Ryan brings up the football fight to taunt him.
We all saw that video, right? If you want to be the best, you got to take out the best. I don't want to be the best.
As Jake turns to leave, Ryan hits him where it hurts, bringing up Jake's father's accident. That, finally, makes Jake snap. But here's the thing. While Jake's been out of the fighting game, Ryan's been training non-stop. The outcome is brutal, and worse yet, someone's recording the whole thing. The video spreads through school, leaving Jake humiliated. When Jake stumbles home with his bruised face, Charlie spots him. Jake tries to play it cool, telling Charlie to keep quiet about it to their mom. But Charlie, being the clever kid he is, just quips.
Say anything to Mom about this.
Like I need to.
Jake's so furious about everything that he ghosts school for a whole week. That's when Max shows up at his door trying to convince him to get back into fighting the right way.
Look, man, you gotta throw in some Muay Thai, have a ground game.
He offers to introduce Jake to his coach, who happens to be one of the best in the business. Max breaks down what MMA is all about and connects him with Coach John Roqua. After putting Jake through some grueling physical tests, his determination impresses Roqua enough to take him on.
Top out, top out. Couple more seconds, I would have had him. You don't give up, do you?
But Roqua lays down one absolute rule: no fighting outside the gym for any reason. Break it and you're out. Jake struggles at first during training with Roqua, still burning with anger over the Ryan incident. While he's still avoiding school, Baja shows up at his house one night. She tries to apologize for her role in setting up the fight between him and Ryan, but Jake's not having it.
My dad got transferred here, and then Ryan happened, and everything just got so easy.
Does that mean I'm supposed to feel sorry for you because you're popular?
The next day, Jake's mom confronts him about withdrawing money from the bank. Jake comes clean. He's joined an MMA club and had to pay registration fees. His mom gets furious, telling him this isn't what she wants. She doesn't want him becoming a fighter. But Jake ignores her words and keeps training with Roqua, who was one of the best boxers of his era. However, deep down though, Roqua seems depressed and sad, something gnawing at him inside. He never smiles, and he's alone, no one to share his pain with. When Jake finally returns to school, he still ignores Baja despite her attempts to get close. She tries apologizing for her role in the fight between Jake and Ryan, but Jake won't forgive her.
Why do you have to be such a jerk?
Yeah, this is my fault.
Especially since Ryan shows zero remorse for the fight or his bullying. Baja confronts with Ryan, wants to break up with him. He aggressively grabs her. Jake steps in to protect her, and Ryan throws another insult about Jake's father.
You're weak. Like your old man was.
Before heading off to practice, Jake's still furious about what happened. Release his anger on Roqua, leading Roqua kicks him out of the gym until he cools down. While driving home from the gym with Max, Jake stops in the middle of the road and gets into a road rage argument with a group of people. Max records the whole thing, and the video goes viral. Everyone at school sees it, and Jake becomes this symbol of aggression. Once again, he becomes the popular guy at school. One day, Baja confronts him about being arrogant since he hasn't spoken to her in ages, even after she broke up with Ryan. But Ryan's not happy about Jake's fame at school. He's used to being the most popular guy and doesn't want to share that spotlight. When he can't take it anymore, Ryan corners Jake in the bathroom and beats him up. Then he challenges Jake to the Beatdown, an underground fighting championship where Ryan's the defending champion.
That's where we'll get it on. That's where this ends.
Enjoy the floor.
Jake goes to Max to learn more about the Beatdown. Max explains everything. It's where the big-name fighters compete, and fights only end with a knockout. Meanwhile, Jake's coach discovers him fighting outside the gym. Furious that Jake broke the club's most basic rule, one Roqua never compromises on, he kicks him out, telling Jake he's no longer welcome. That night, Jake runs into Roqua at the market. They end up talking about Jake's father, how he died in a drunk driving accident, how other boys always bullied him for not being able to save his father that night. Jake tells him about the party incident and how Ryan beat him up twice. Roqua starts feeling sympathy for the kid and relates to him. He welcomes Jake back to the club and intensifies his training. One day, while jogging outside with Jake, Roqua opens up about his own family. Roqua tells Jake he's from Brazil and currently living in self-imposed exile, and how he's always been in the fighting business, how his brother was an excellent MMA fighter, and their father's favorite son, who once took on a local troublemaker who challenged him. But things went terribly wrong. The guy came back with a gun and shot his brother dead. Jean's father blamed him, saying he should have looked after his younger brother better. Looking at Jake, Roqua confesses he wants to go home, but can't. The shame's too heavy.
The last time he spoke to me, he said both of his sons died that night.
He can't face his father. and the guilt of not being able to save his brother eats at him every day. The next day, something unexpected happens at the gym. Jake's mom shows up, but she's not there to pull Jake out. Instead, she's meeting his coach and paying for the next 2 months of training. Turns out, she's finally accepted her son's path as a fighter. When the coach praises Jake's progress, you can see the pride in her eyes. Jake finally makes things right with Baja too. He visits her and apologizes for giving her the cold shoulder all this time.
You tried to apologize, and I acted like an asshole. You had nothing to do with that.
They open up about their feelings for each other and start dating. But just as things are looking up, Max gets a text. The beatdown is just days away. He rushes to tell Jake. Meanwhile, Ryan's training hard for the beatdown. His dad shows up at practice, but instead of encouragement, he tells Ryan he shouldn't be proud yet. He hasn't beaten the best, meaning Jake. Jake's actually planning to skip the beatdown, thinking it's just Ryan's game. But everything changes when Ryan invites Max over, beats him up, and leaves him on Jake's doorstep to be found. After getting Max to the hospital, Jake confronts his coach. They argue about Jake joining the beatdown.
Give some asshole the show he's looking for?
Then stop! Let it go!
If you could go back and stop the guy who shot your brother.
Don't push me.
I know you would have fought that guy.
But the coach finally gives in, warning Jake to control the outcome. At the tournament, both Jake and Ryan tear through their opponents, with Jake making it to the semifinals. During the fight, Jake gets a brutal shot to the ribs, but anyway, he persists to win the fight. After the match, the pain is so intense he's forced to use ice packs just to cope. Baja shows up to support him. She tells him she understands why he keeps fighting, so he won't have to fight anymore. But things take an unexpected turn. Jake learns that Ryan's been disqualified from the semifinals for illegal eye gouging. Jake figures there's no point in continuing and tries to quit. But as he and Baja try to leave, Ryan confronts him, and they end up throwing down in the parking lot. The confronting draws everyone from inside to watch, and just like that, it's on. Jake's still hurting from his injuries, and Ryan gets the upper hand early, locking him in a chokehold. But Jake breaks free and unleashes that very first combination Roqua taught him, finally taking Ryan down. The whole fight gets uploaded online, but this time it's different. Jake earns the respect of his classmates, including Ryan himself. And Roqua? He finally decides it's time to head back to Brazil and make things right with his father.